Hello and welcome back to another episode of Joel's Moment of Truth. In this episode, I will be discussing love. When you think of love, you may think of many different things. The love of a couple, the love between family and friends. These kinds of love are good, but I'm here to talk about a different kind of love. For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. God sent his Son into the world not to judge the world, but to save the world through him. John 3:16, 16, 17. This is the kind of love. Sacrificial love. The love God has for us is really strong. His love for us is so great that there's no metaphor that could even do it justice. Nothing can separate us from his love. The Bible also talks about the kind of love that we should show one another. In the words of Mark 12:29-31, Jesus replied, "The most important commandment is this. Listen, O Israel. The Lord our God is the one and only Lord. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these." Love is at the forefront of the Christian faith. How do you love your neighbor? By showing the love of Jesus to them. It can be as simple as holding the door for someone, volunteering, just smiling. It is just being kind to people. The importance of love is discussed in 1 Corinthians 13 in the first 7 verses of the chapter. If I could speak all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, if I had such faith that I could move mountains but didn't love others, I would be nothing. If I gave everything I have to the poor, even sacrificed my body, I could not boast about it. But if I didn't love, I could boast about it. But if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wrong. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up. Love never loses faith. Love is always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. Love is what gives our actions meaning. We should treat everyone like we treat ourselves. We need to see everyone how God sees us. Perfect and made right through what Jesus did on the cross. We should always be looking for ways to love others. What the Bible defines as love is oftentimes what is defined by the world to be selflessness. Love requires sacrifice, sacrificing ourselves. It requires being vulnerable. Sometimes love is easy, sometimes it is hard. It is oftentimes easy to love our friends and family. However, Jesus calls us to love our enemies. Here's what Jesus said in Matthew 5:43-48. You have heard the law that says love your neighbor and hate your enemies, but I say love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the good and the evil, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you only love those who love you, what is their reward for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are only kind to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And this loving your enemies can be really hard. It's hard to love someone who will give you nothing in return. But when you think about the kind of love God has showed us, it seems easier. When Jesus came to earth, he demonstrated his love by hanging out with tax collectors, unclean people, and even Gentiles. Jesus' love had nothing to do with what the people could give back. He loves those that society declares unlovable. If we are to call ourselves Christians, we must live and love one another as Christ loved us. In all our relationships, we should have this love. The Bible is the story of God's love for humanity. God's love for us is demonstrated throughout the whole Bible. That's all I have to say. Thanks for listening. See you next time.